Hey world, hey universe, so happy to be back here once again with all of you after 2 weeks. So this week we are going to do a maintenance check, a self-maintenance check, like how we do maintenance check for our cars and bikes. This week we are going to do a maintenance check of our own levels of energy and levels of vibration. You will understand why it's important to do this as we finish this conversation. So you see this image here. This is called the Hawkins levels of consciousness. Okay, it basically talks about the different emotional state that someone can have on the left side, and a number is assigned to each of these emotions. Okay, so the emotions that are at the bottom most, like sadness, grief, anger, all these get lower numbers because they are heavy emotions that sorts of pulls us down, whereas emotions like joy, happiness, love, gratitude, these are all emotions that sorts of pulls us up. Okay, so these are basically lighter emotions that pulls us up, and basically when you are at the bottom of this scale, you feel very contracted within, right? But when we just have the emotions that are up on the scale, you feel very expanded. Okay, your whole self feels very expanded. So that is the beauty of these levels of consciousness, because it's very important for each one of us to really be aware of what sorts of emotions are we experiencing on a constant basis. Okay, on a consistent basis, because these emotions, these energies, these vibrations basically decide about the success, decide about what we really, whether we are able to achieve what we want to achieve, whether we are able to accomplish meaningful things in life, and all those really, high value items. Okay, so it's very important to be aware of our own self and what emotions do we have on a day-to-day basis. The next is collective consciousness, like collectively put together, everybody in the world. Where do we stand when we really look at this energy pyramid? So, 85% of the world is almost below a vibrational state of 100. Okay, only 15% of the population is say above. Okay, now what does this mean is that these 15% of people who are at a higher vibrational scale is handling the pressure or the negativity of the rest 85% of the population. So where do we want to place ourselves is what we have to be aware of. Now to put it in a simple term, we'll take some examples. Okay, so some studies that have looked at the vibrational status of famous personalities states that Adolf Hitler was at somewhere on a scale of 125. Albert Einstein was at 540. Mother Teresa was at a 600, and Buddha, Lord Christ, and Prophet Muhammad were all at 1,000. Now, there are many studies that were also done to understand the vibrations of the collective consciousness. Okay, so if we add everybody's consciousness and takes an average, what is that number? It's 350. So still it's not really up. The entire world's population, the average is somewhere at 350. Now I'll give you a statistic which is fascinating. If you are, suppose if one of us have a vibrational status of 100, just one person, okay, if we have a vibrational status of 700, okay, so 700, as you see in this scale, is like, somebody who is experiencing like really tremendous amounts of peace and moving towards really on the higher path of spiritual alignment. So if there's only one person in the world who has 700, this person can counteract the negativity of 70 million people or 7 crores, okay, which is like, the whole Indian population. So if you want to counteract the negativity of the entire Indian population, you need to have 18 people at this vibrational status to clear the negativity of this entire country. So how many people in the world are really at that 700 vibrational scale? Only about 35,000 people. Okay, now we know that there are heavy energies, that are lighter energies, and heavy energies like anger and jealousy and things like that pull us down and make us feel contracted, and lighter energies like peace, joy, bliss, gratitude makes us feel expanded and takes us to the top of the level of consciousness, what each one of us can do on an individual basis. The first thing is to check our own emotions on a day-to-day basis, okay? I'm saying day-to-day or consistent for a purpose here, because it's not about becoming a saint overnight. See, we are living in a materialistic world where we have to figure out ways to live, where we have to earn money to run the family. So, and you will meet all different kinds of people, so it's not really possible to sort of stay very blissful and peaceful throughout the day. Okay, that's sort of like a logical statement, right? But what is very important is the awareness that we have. For example, if you take Mahatma Gandhi was so very angry, and even Nelson Mandela, even Martin Luther King Jr., but they were all angry about oppression. Okay, they were all angry about oppression. So if you really look at the scale, they must be somewhere below. But how did they use their anger? They channelized their anger in a way that resulted in the liberty of millions of people. Okay, so it's all about being aware of these feelings and channelizing it in the right way. It's not about using this anger to harass and harm and hurt people, because there is a statement for every of this emotion. And in this vibrational scale, what is the statement for anger? It is, I can survive only when I can control others. So anger is basically all about controlling others, and this is from a place of ego basically. So let me give you another example. Fear, for example, beginning from childhood, I used to have so much fear just to express what I think, okay, because I was always thinking that if I really express what I feel, then people will get offended, I will lose my loved ones, I'll be misunderstood and things like that. And what did it result in? It resulted in me handling a lot of abuse. Okay, so I would take in any sort of abuse, physical abuse, any sort of abuse, or verbal abuse, without actually responding or to these abuses. And it's a long story basically, but it all resulted from the fear that I would hurt others, that I would lose others if I express my authentic self. But as I took on the path of my spiritual journey, one day I realized, no, this is not who I am, and I need to really speak up for myself, because if I just hold on to this fear, it's not only harming me, but it is also setting a false sort of path for people who are following me. And that is when I started to open up and speak, and it really changed my life for all better. Okay, and similarly, when you really dig deep into each of these emotions, there's something else that's behind these emotions, right? For example, same fear, we used to have fear of exams. Why would we have fear of exams? Because we want to really perform well. So it's not like fear is bad, it's about what really causes this fear. It's about understanding that and then channelizing it, right? And so if you really contract and keep yourself in that state of fear, oh, I'm feared about exams, oh, I'm feared about performing, then you are neither going to perform, not really going to take any action about what you want to achieve. So it's about understanding why do you face fear, because you've not prepared well. So what do you have to do to prepare well, right? So it's the antidote to all these emotions are basically very simple and straightforward. Jealousy and comparing us to others, what is really behind this? Okay, so jealousy and all sorts of like comparison to people results in anger, fear, shame and guilt. So every emotion on the scale has an underlying factor, and if you understand that underlying factor, then you can really just stay away from this emotion and step up on the scale of this levels of consciousness. So whatever it is, be it fear, love, joy or happiness, don't judge these emotions. Okay, for example, take happiness. What if you are happy about somebody's sorrow? Because there are people who do that, right? People who are so very happy because somebody else that they don't like is suffering. Is that happiness, right? So it's not that happiness is good, fear is bad. It's about what really underlies these emotions. So that is very important. That is what I call as awareness. And then most of these emotions have a feeling of insecurity behind it. Okay, that's the common thread that I am finding time and again when I try to understand my own emotion or people around me, that insecurity is a feeling that sorts of comes out as different sorts of emotions. Okay, so let's just understand this. Okay, whenever we get a sort of emotion, for example like a fear or anger or whatever it is, let's look at it with more kindness and compassion. Don't judge it like, oh, I'm a bad person, I feel very angry all the time. No, because the more you try to resist an emotion, it's going to bounce back with more vigor and force. So let's not do it, because that's how the mind works, the monkey mind works. Okay, so the first exercise for this week is to keenly observe what emotions we feel on a consistent basis. Okay, and the moment we do it with awareness, then without any judgment, we'll realize that we can't feel happiness and bliss all the time. But when we start to observe, we will be able to really sort of, the moment we increase our awareness, we'll be able to step out of it without any judgment, look at it with kindness and compassion, and then see, okay, this is why I feel this way. It's nothing good or nothing bad. Let me try to address it through, again, kindness. The moment you do it, automatically you will start climbing up on this levels of consciousness. And so what I want you to do is to do this experiment the whole week. Just start to observe your own emotions, or if you already aware of this particular concept, comment as what you feel about this exercise. And what I do is one simple tip. I use my body as a tool. Like I call my body is my best friend, because the body is a tool that will sort of signal you about these emotions. So whenever you feel emotions on the lower level of this consciousness, you feel heavy, you feel very contracted. Usually I feel heaviness around my chest. Okay, then what I do, I sort of take a deep breath. Okay, I breathe out, sort of dissipate these negative emotions, and then when I take a deep breath in, I sort of inhale happiness, kindness and compassion, and look at it. Why do I feel this way? So what is really causing this emotion? And immediately I'll be able to step out of it without any sort of bad feelings or anything of that sort. So you can do anything that works for you, but observe your emotions on a consistent basis. And I'm going to continue on this topic in the next episode with a very, very interesting personal experience of mine related to this levels of consciousness. And I'm going to share you some simple tools to raise your energy levels, like anything. Okay, so until I see you next week, signing off with infinite love, gratitude and bliss. This is yours, Riz. Let the soul speak.